I'm Philbert Howell, owner and manager of Riz Edge Barbershop and Internet Cafe, situated in Dennery, High Street, Dennery. I started my business in 1997 as a barber, solely a barber. And at that time, there were not much barbers around, and there was a need for such service. During the time of my business running, I saw the need to include an additional business, which was the printing and typing services via computer. The two went well because the incorporation of the computers and the barbering, it was a very good insertion, because at the time there was not much people into computers, and also the barbering aspect of things wasn't revolutionized like it is now. So that went well for a period of 3 years, and expansion took place where I added more computers and brought in better haircutting equipment to make my work a bit more easier. And in the computers, it made it a bit more versatile, where I was not only the one to use the computer, but I could have allowed people using it and pay them, and they pay a charge. My business was basically financed by myself, because prior to me opening the business, I was already involved in haircutting on an unprofessional basis, basically at my mother's yard or by the beach, and I was getting some finances from there. So I used my initiative and saved those monies, and when it was of a certain amount, I invested it into a business. It was tough at the time. I was fairly young, and there were a lot of temptations out there to use these monies, but then I saw the need to keep it safe, so I would get the business going. Very challenging, because I had to start very small, and as I went along, every money I did, I just invested it directly into the business. A period of time where, as I made it, I spent it in the business. There was no time for saving, but just investing all the time. And like I said, during the time, there was a need for what I was doing, so the flow of cash was constant, and it was possible that I could have got the finances to keep pumping it into the business so that it grow into what it is today. An average working day for me is, I would say, like a normal, living my life normal, because whatever I do, I enjoy. And it's like just living because it's what I do. So I enjoy every aspect of a working day. The favorite part of being an entrepreneur is the freedom of doing what I love best. And that's what it's supposed to be, because that's how you become successful, and that's how you allow your customers to keep coming back for more, because you're doing what you love, and you're doing it in a free manner. In one word, to explain an entrepreneur, me as an entrepreneur, I would say discipline. It takes a high level of discipline to be an entrepreneur, because discipline comprises everything. When you're disciplined, you become consistent, and you will know exactly what your customers want, because your focus is on your business and your customers. The external factor of my business, I would say, is customers. They play an integral part in my success as a business person. Without them, there'll be no success. And it's a two-way situation where they're satisfied of my services, and I too being satisfied of their patronage. And I do everything in my power so that when they come, they get the service they want, and they too, on the other hand, I mean, on the other hand, they complement my business because without them, the business is somewhat void. For expansion, yeah, there is definitely need for expansion because when I started in '97, it has been growing, and as in this global economy we're in right now, we definitely have to expand because the world is getting smaller, and there is a need for you to grow because sooner or later, more sooner than later, I might just be competing with people out of the region and most probably the wider world. And I've set my focus in that. I've set my mind in that way, because in business you got to be ready for everything. And one of the things you have to be ready for is competition, and not just locally, but then you have to think regionally, because business is something where everybody is looking for a slice, and you got to be prepared for whatever comes your way. The advice I have to give any young aspiring entrepreneur is that you got to be disciplined as an individual, and you got to be committed, because in business it takes a high level of commitment to make it through, because there will be days where you need to put all what you have into it to see it work, and most probably you just might be disappointed, but that doesn't mean that's the end of the road. And another thing is standard. As a business person, you need to always keep a high standard, and you should never compromise standard for popularity, because popularity basically is temporary, but standard is for the long haul. And with such attitude, it will be a tough battle as a business person, but the end result will be very good and you will enjoy it. And as an individual, my business really has an obligation to make my community a better place, because everyone, especially young people, is looking for a role model, be it positive or negative. But as for me, I would want to be a positive role model as an individual, and my business have to speak for me, because you need to live by example, and you need to let other people know they too can make it as a business person or academically or whatever field they choose to take. So I believe my business and me as an individual has an obligation to my community.